Yeah, so greetings everybody. You're now tuned into Context Matters. Actually, the day is May 2nd. We're in May. Can you believe that? We are really literally in May. And everybody's joining me on Reggae Global Radio. Everybody's joining me on YouTube and everybody on TikTok. I just want to say big up yourself. This today, notice how I'm starting the show is a very strange topic for me. And here's why I'm saying it's a strange topic. I have to really sit down and wonder and ask myself the question if we really have free will. And it's okay to say free to vote, free to do this, free to do all of that. But um, do we really have free will? That's a question I want you guys to answer. Um, to say if you feel that you are free to do everything. So I'm going to start because we speak about this all the time. We are free, autonomous beings capable of making decisions for ourselves without influence from anything. But yet we have social media. Um, you have social media influencers. You have people. Yeah, if you get where I'm coming from. So I wonder if we are being influenced so much that we do not appreciate or we do not know that we are not free, or are we free? I'm saying this in the context of, are we making choices within the limits? Is our destiny written? Is our destiny set? And to kick off the conversation, I'm gonna put up just one single photo. And I'm going to say about this photo, it will set the tone for the conversation. Here is the photo. It says, if you could remove one thing from the world, what would it be? I'm very interested to know because you have the freedom to choose one thing that you could remove from the world, and what would it be? I'm going to start and I'm going to ask the question again at the top of the hour, and then I'm going to give you my answer at the end. But a hint, if I, Isaac, could remove one thing from the world with a snap of my finger, the name, it starts with the letter P. So if anybody can figure it out, yeah, during the show you can tell me. But I also want to know, if you could remove one thing from the world, the snap of your finger, what would it be? For me, it starts with P, and we'll get back to that again. Stacy says guns and disease. That sounds like two things. Margaret Carter, she says something. Catherine says something. Margaret, you're thinking, man. Catherine says something. Joe Blog says corruption. Clearly, you don't live in Jamaica. Go about your business. G Angel says evil. What have I done to you, G Angel? Marjorie. Yeah, some people think some. You know what? I'm proud. I'm proud of all of you, but I gotta ask you again. I'm not answering all of them. Carter Mike. You say your name rhyme with. You hear? You say okay. Carter Mike rhymes with. Anyway, let me leave that. Why would you want to remove the prostitutes? What have they done to you? Anyway, leave it at that. But people, just go keep thinking about it. We're gonna have more discussions, and we're getting back to free will. Context matters.
It's all in life. Gotta keep your head up and keep it straight. No time for living a lie. Gotta keep it moving till you get it right. That's right. It's all in life. Gotta keep your head up and keep it straight. No time to be living a lie. You can make it if you try. No, I heard them say life much better you live it your own way.
Yeah. So context. Let me tell you something. I'm so proud of the critical thinkers among us in the comments. I really love and appreciate every single one of you. Um, Big up yourself, Kevin. That's a good place to start. Kevin Wright says you are controlled by your genes. So he has started the conversation from nurture versus nature. So one believes if your father was Jeffrey Dahmer, then I guess you're gonna be a serial killer. I reject that wholeheartedly. But Kevin, you always start some good trouble. Socrates would be proud of you um, in Godfly nature. So your presence is always welcome. He says epigenetics. Um, Young says definitely destiny is power believed to control future events. Fatalism is a general belief of occupational beyond the human capacity. Free will is the ability to act outside of influence. So young San is setting the context of the three questions um, as it poses itself: free will, destiny, or fatalism. And naturally, notice it says a simple state of being. Right? Um, we're gonna talk about state of being. Appreciate you, Young San, for your contribution. But we do start. Um, Free will is the power to act without the constraint of necessity or fate, the ability to act on one's own discretion, right? So that is free will. It presupposes that you're an autonomous being capable to live, breathe, think for itself. Free will gives the concept of why it is the criminal law in any country exists, because it assumes that when you do things, you have the intention and you form the necessary mens rea to do so. So that's a very very important concept. Jamrock says free will is to act at one's discretion, no one holding you back. Wow, I guess that can't work if you live in Jamaica. Barrels. Anyway, people walk sideways. So, what does it mean to have free will? Well, some people conceive or the concept of free will, it's the ability to act beyond the limits of external influences or wishes. Um, it's the free will to be or to have the capacity to make choices undetermined by past events. So there is something called determinism, and it suggests that only one course of events is possible, which is inconsistent with the libertarian model of free will. Um, yeah. So free will is making it out to be in the absence of anything, any higher power, any this, any that. It's kind of like they say faith without works is dead. So the free will is the works, but then it have to be backed up by the faith. But then one will say if you have faith, then you have destiny. But then Buju Banton says, I want to rule my destiny. So you're still here in this space that you want to have the freedom to walk into your destiny and the free will to live out your destiny. Because there are people who will say to you that your destiny is what is fated for you. And so I don't want to sound like I am dancing around words or dancing through the rain, but I want people to open their minds to come to a position. We don't have to agree, but an appreciation of why there are some people really walking around, good mad people in clean clothes. and some of them sit in high places at that, and is at the end of it all. We realize that we sometimes are misguided by persons who are also puppets, um, and wonders if the puppet master exists and you're tied to a particular string. Are you allowing someone who is not free to dictate, confine, constrain, incarcerate you? Is your life as you live right now one of incarceration? Bob Marley said the mental slavery that one is supposed to emancipate themselves from. So, what is an example of free will? Well, free will is everything you do, you make a choice to do. From getting out of bed in the morning, to choosing what you will eat or drink, to choosing what you will do, go to work or not, walk the dog, make the bed, are all examples of you expressing your free will. No, these are examples of you doing these things, doesn't not necessarily mean that it is free will. Here's why. This morning I had to get up out of the bed and I didn't want to get up out of the bed. But I had to go to court. Was there free will? Was there a choice for me not to go? Was there any possibility for me to make the choice not to go, and having made a choice to put on my clothes, as they say, not make the bed, and then find myself in court? Was that on my own free will? Shan is saying yes. I'm wondering if she's saying yes to the question of the free will, or she's saying yes to something else. But that is Janet. Big up yourself, Chicory. Yeah. That is, and she doubles down and says yes, absolutely. So help me out. Is that free will? If you didn't want to go to work, so Diana Atkinson says Robert Sospowski says there is no free will. Um, well, one wonders. But that is an example. So, do humans have free will? Well, that's where the philosophy and the critical thinking come in. But most philosophical theories develop a view of free will that is consistent with a scientific understanding of human nature. And despite illusionist claims, studies suggest most people accept that we can have free will even if our mental activity is carried out entirely by brain activity. Notice that is all scientific, but I'm putting it out to you that when it comes to free will, um, the concept of freedom is not just removing the shackles off your feet so you can dance, so you can praise them, Mary, Mary, um, in my Kirk Franklin voice, in my dirty shorts and marina, paid for by the Christian people who had me come, and I don't sing a song. Anyway, yeah, the freedom to criticize the so don't come for me for that one. But I had to drop that in there. So if you think of not being shackled and think of just the freedom, to express what it is to be free, and then being able to carry that out. Um, do we have the free will? And one wonders, because when you think about destiny, if you're destined to become a particular thing, are you making the choices to walk into your destiny, or is it already destined? Is it already fated? These are questions that one has to what one has to think about. So, in terms of, is one have to wonder, do we have it? And if we do, is it a good thing? So, research suggests that if you believe in your own free will, then you act as if your choices matter, which provides you with many benefits. On the other hand, if you believe in determinism, then that belief tends to come true. You act as if you have no control and suffer in many ways. So, suffer not thy children to, or suffer thy children to come under me. I don't know. It is, one wonders. So Kevin says you cannot be free of your biological history. No. Okay. But there are persons who have a biological past, but they're adopted and they still become successful. There are persons who are, I don't, the question of nurture versus nature, as you know, um, nature is your natural genetic um, makeup, who your parents are, your biological thing, your father impregnate your mother 9 months later or seven or however you drop out these days. You are born and that's nature. It doesn't require anything. You grow. Your environment now, Kevin says, matters, which is nurture. Because if you were born from a king and you end up being in the ghetto, you might end up being the area don or the area leader, but you're not necessarily going to find your way home to be the king unless the people come for you. I don't know. But I'm saying, is it that the environment that you live in can cause you to excel or can cause you to diminish? And that's talking about locus self control, locus of control. So maybe what we need to do is to probably try to find a balance where we say, well, there is free will or freedom within the limits of whatever the social construct or whatever the framework is, the existence, the framework existence. For instance, if we're so free, why are we the only species that getting up and working and putting on clothes when, unless we're putting on clothes on the animals ourselves, them living them life and them doing what them doing. And we create false um moral standards that so clearly simply don't make sense. And you are tuned into Reggae Global Radio, so it is ironic that, like in the Jamaican space, dancehall is so repugnant. But I guarantee you, if you get your Trini friends to tell you to turn it around and push it back in, take it out and push it within, it's quite acceptable. And the best among us will dance to it and turn around and actually have someone push it in for them. And I mean, it's okay. So the fake moral standards, you can miss me with that. But in terms of finding that space where, when you really look at it, we are probably the simplicity, the simple animals, because state of being is actually one of the theories, or one of the parts, moving parts, without confusing anybody. One of the moving parts in law that makes sense. So, in terms of where criminal law is concerned, they have something called the actus reus. They have um, in dealing with that, you have something called, I want to use the word, I always remember it as conduct, omission, or state of being. And I usually, if you have a calculator, they used to have tan, um, costs, and another one. I don't remember the other one because I don't, math is not my strong suit. Only KFC. So anyway, so costs would be the same thing: the conduct, the omission, and the state of being. The state of being. Let me just give you an example. Is like, you just, if sometimes you don't need intention, you don't need to do anything, just by your existence, your state of being can cause you to break the law. So, for instance, if there is a law that says no black people should speak at 4 o'clock, here it is, Isat is speaking. The fact that I'm being black and the law was changed and I fall right into that category, I'm in the state of being. And believe me, I can envision panels of judges saying it is unfortunate that you are in a state of being, and we as creatures of the statute must uphold the law, therefore you are guilty. That kind of, that's how it go. um Somebody is saying, no, 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 my favorite PLO, I'm here, I am here, you just busy. Yeah, but just appreciate what I'm saying in terms of the state of being, and thinking and dealing, trying to rationalize or find some idea of the free will concept. So, what does God say about free will? Well, the catechism of the Roman Catholic Church asserts that freedom is the power rooted in reason and will. It goes on to say that God created man a rational being, conferring on him the dignity of a person who can initiate and control his own actions. And my response to that is the the word, you hear that the word him, the dignity of a person. So one wonders when you're in a nation like a Jamaica, a third world country, and constitutional rights are breached and there's no remedy for the breach, or it is disregarded, or no avenue to access your breach when you complain. And I'm using this loosely because we do know that if you go to the court and complain, they will give effect to the rights through declarations where necessary. And when you complain, if somebody is where they're not supposed to be, the competent court will say they're not supposed to be there and remove them. So we know the Constitution work. But I'm saying, if it is that we have free will, is it then the question that there are those around you that will strip you of that free will? And even the Constitution contemplates that save except for you finding yourself, yeah, save except for you finding yourself in conflict with the law and losing your liberty, all your constitutional rights remain, and your human dignity is intact. But if we believe that free will is attached, therefore, to human dignity, um, dignity of the person with your dignity is what allows you to be the autonomous being. It's allowed for you to have the responsibility. Jean Jarrett, big up yourself. The way you said hi, I thought I had to respond to you. Yeah, that ability is where the conversation flows in terms of dealing with the idea of free will. Is that if human dignity is not present, if the society that you live in and the place where you are doesn't cause you to feel like a human being, then the concept of free will is is gone. It's eroded. There are no choices that you're making for yourself. Think of us saying, look at us 2 years ago, because this is what 3 years ago, us saying, oh, we have free will, but when the prime minister said, lock it up, COVID are gone, you have to go into your house, and he says, oh well, we are human beings and we're rational, so we're taking the orders and we're doing that on our own free will. So we have to think about that. So put that into context. Um, if it is that so in all of this, we do know that if you accept that we have the free will, then it must mean that it is important, we think, because free will believes, or as a mechanism, it allows the self to pursue self-enhancing desire, states and goals, and seeks own wants and needs, right? So if you put it simply, free will is only worth having if it enables the individual to get what she or he wants. And notice, when you're in a society and you are living free, it is a problem for everybody. One of the biggest attacks on human dignity and freedom is the restriction on freedom of expression. And freedom of expression is the one that actually allows somebody to recognize or to identify. And this, don't get me wrong, we're not having conversations about people who says, hey, I'm a tree. Of course you're gonna have to prune my leaves. Hey, I am a water bottle. Of course you're gonna have to drink from me. Or I'm an elephant. Of course, no one can ignore me. I am in the room. Whatever. We're not mixing up those things with the thing about the use of the freedom of expression, so that whether through dance, whether through words, whether through dress, whether through style, whether through the most powerful thing, the words. Let me not get outside of that. So in the social space and social media, your word is your power. The power of the keyboard, the power of the visual, the power of the voice, the combination, words, text, voice, sound, dress, whatever it is, use it all. That is freedom of expression, but tied to your constitutional rights, your natural law rights, your basic human dignity to be a person, expressing yourselves, and people giving you the space for you to do that. So um, we we use that loosely. So if you accept that or we believe in that, then one can say, how could we define it or what are the types of it? So just keep in your head, you can explain it through three reasoning: determinism, compatibilism, and libertarianism. These are all philosophical concepts. I don't think I need to go into them in depth unless somebody during the call says, but expound on this, because I don't want to I don't want us to miss the idea, and I don't want anybody to forget the seminal question that I'd asked. You exercising your free will. If you could remove one thing from the world, what would it be? Earlier I said certainly for me it starts with P. And I will tell you what it is at the end of the show. So for me, again, it's important to just continue to recognize that when you think of free will or when you think of freedom, and appreciating that it said that when you free will only makes sense if you're advancing the individual, then naturally the conversation is moot if people says, "Oh, but I'm good where I'm at. The bottom of the barrel is not a matter for me because I'm a crab. Of course, I'm going to stay in the bottom of the barrel and use my exercise my freedom to bring everybody down, whatever." And when you think about it, even if somebody's the word somebody said, I would. Carol Durant said, "I would remove hate." But removing all the emotional things. Note, and it's your free will, but we're having discussions. We are removing things that are not tangible, but is something of an emotion that has to be generated, has to be accepted, has to be processed through an interpretation and an emotive response. Is that a good thing? Um, God is my refuge and strength says, I would remove politics. That's interesting because we are political animals. Even when there's no vote, there's a whole lot of politicking. Somebody who doesn't like what I'm saying now can start a campaign to remove my freedom of expression and my ability to disseminate information to those who actually care about enhancing their critical thinking skills. I'm sure, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, that not before today, Jeremy and Hamilton onto something. Not before today, a lot of people never even thought about free will and stuff like that. So that in and of itself is important. Um, when it comes to human behavior, free will is the idea that humans have the ability to make their own choices and determine their own fate. So is a person's will free, or are people's lives in fact shaped by powers outside of their control? That's a seminal question. That's what we have to ask ourselves to get where we want to go. So we want to be able to say to ourselves, listen, I understand the society that I live in. I understand that I am free within limits. I'm free within constraints. If you're from Jamaica, just and you're living in Jamaica and everything is going right for you in Jamaica, and you have a sense, and this is now Plato's cave, because all you know is Jamaica, and you're striving in Jamaica, which is an oppressed society that's trying to develop. We are a developing nation, but if you don't go outside of Jamaica, you can't know that we're developing, or I'm not even going to put on our country backward, because we're not backward. I'm being honest now, but we are developing. When the time come, because you're such a powerful person and you're striving and existing within your space, and the time comes for you to do something outside of um, Jamaica, and you realize that you need qualifications to do that, i.e., applications for visas and stuff like that, and you might not qualify even with all your advancements within the society where you are. Do you still feel like you're free? And the Constitution speaks about freedom of movement. And there's discussion in 2024 to increase freedom of movement within the Caribbean. Having other government officials appreciate and understand that we're all brothers and sisters from just different, we just happen to be from different geographical locations. And so if we treat each other and empower ourselves within the Caribbean, we can experience a sense of freedom. So I can I can't now, but I'm saying I can just hop on a plane and go check my friends in Trinidad. That's where my real friends at, oh God. And you go check them, and it's free. You're free to do so without somebody saying, but how long you gonna stay here? And why you're trying to look at work while you're here? Because you need money to survive. So if you do go look for your friends and you decide that you're gonna stay there, can you get a little job while you're there without having an intention to stay and migrate? And even if you do decide that you're gonna stay or migrate to another Caribbean island, should it be okay? And do you have that freedom? And we should let us extend it elsewhere, where if we are citizens of Earth, shouldn't we be able to just go to any country that we want to go? And as long as we're not breaking the laws of the country, shouldn't we be free to set up shop wherever we are and strive and think and enhance and do better in those space? Just have to ask these questions. And so we start to see that when we challenge a system, notice, the free will they're talking about and the ability to shape our lives um, outside of the powers that be, the powers that are in control, that says you need a visa to go here, but they don't need a visa to come here. You need to put on a form that you're black, even if your mother is white or your grandmother is white or of Chinese descent, and even when the country that you come from, its motto is out of many one. So you might have come out to your mother and she might be mix of something. So you're a lot of things and shouldn't be confined to just being calling yourself black. Mind you, the blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice. So don't get it twisted. But just to have that conversation that we are not fitting in boxes. And so a plethora of people who are having and who are suffering from identity crisis, it comes from that. It comes from the inability to access the freedom to even have the conversations where necessary, to find the identity of that which you are. Let me put it that. Let me put it that way. Um, Kevin say, "Show me a picture of the mind." Boy, couldn't even draw a picture of my mind right now, Kevin. But yeah. So if you think that you have free will, can it be trusted? Well, that's just a question that one can ask. Can it be trusted? If you don't think you're free, that's a difficult conversation to have. Let's break it down in terms of let's think about the life of Jesus. not turning this into a preaching Sunday school thing, but the Jesus, the carpenter's son, who went to Egypt and got all his knowledge from the Egyptians, came back and knew all of the ability to heal, ability to do all of this, and the Son of God, right? Is it correct to say that both God and man have free will? But because their natures are different, that doesn't mean exactly the same thing for each of them. This is a question that's left because we cannot do what Jesus do because we are imperfect, but yet Jesus is perfect. And even then, Jesus found himself in a dilemma. And if you knew the scriptures, I don't propose to know it, but I'm not outside of knowing some things. Is that he found him two things. He was in the wilderness for 40 days and 40 nights. Kudos to Jesus, because I can just imagine me being in the wilderness and 5 hours pass and a box of KFC come and the devil just tempt me and I eat that. Jesus was there 40 days and 40 nights, and he got all kind of, the devil is promising him all kind of things, and he says, but he can't promise me what belongs to my father and whatever. But move that aside. The most important part of it is the night before his death, when he's in the garden, and he knows what his mission is, and he had a bout of humanness, and he's saying, boy, God, take this from me. Let me not have to go through this, knowing that he's gonna have to die on the cross. Peter is gonna betray. Peter is gonna deny him. Judas is gonna betray him, but yet Judas is the one that always get all of the cussing. Yet the man that deny him is just as bad. And then what about the man who gets switch out, Barabbas? And we can have conversations about all of that. But Jesus knew, and he went on the cross anyway. Is that a choice, or he had to do it to fulfill his destiny? And if you have your destiny, isn't everything going to fall into place? That's a question that we have to think about, because I'm seeing Carol Durant say God gives us free will. Um One says, I must remember that Jesus is fictitious. That's the thing. This is like somebody telling me I need to remember that free will is fictitious. And if we don't accept that there's free will, the conversation on free will dies, because the concept is not free to flourish if we don't buy into the concept or the discussion. And that's why we're thinking critically to come to a conclusion in the end. But the question about the God gives us free will, then there should be no hell, because then I'm free not to believe in God. And there should be no consequences then. Or if I don't pray and if I don't pay my tithes, my 10%, why should I pay my 10% tithes and then pay my 30% taxes? And then still have to go pay tax on the KFC when it's time come to buy the food. I'm just saying, is there really free will if even the concept and construct of God and how religious, how the religious minds have placed it, would have caused us to realize that we are actually controlled by religion, if not controlled by politics, and if not controlled by the government, and if not controlled by the law, if not controlled by society. Because there are societies and formally where yeah, you have some societies where if the woman show more than her ankle, she's broken the law, so she's not free to say maybe she's born with it, maybe it's Maybelline. And for the men, we don't know if they have BBLs under the dresses that they have. We don't know. We some societies, if you see the eyelash, you go, wow, those eyelashes are just so beautiful. And other societies, a whole whack of makeup and a whole lot of Botox and a whole lot of other things. When I was growing up, they used to call me Lionel Richie. Now I see everybody putting Botox in them lips to get lips like mine. You know what I'm saying? Just putting that out there. But it's just that type of conversation to say, depending on the society, where is your freedom? Some societies in Jamaica, the age of consent is 16, but there's still much debate and conversation about the man or the female that decides that a 16-year-old is what they prefer. And people that would say, "Oh, you're just morally wrong because as the girl turned 16, you want to deal with the girl who is 16, or she just shenana ambition because she take the youth him is 16-year-old and she take him up and deal with him." But the law says you can do that, but you're not free to do that because society restrains you from doing that. But then you have countries where they say, "Hey, bar mitzvah, bat mitzvah. Do you get a dowry for giving up your 13-year-old daughter or 11 and all kind of stuff?" And they some countries and societies, depending on how much oil they have, certain things are allowed and women mustn't do this and it's accepted and just depending. And so the luck of the draw is by destiny, you're born in the geographical location where you are. I'm using that now to transfer or to transition into something to strengthen the conversation or to advance the conversation before we get to the top of the hour. Two things happened. Not gonna necessarily say this week, but it's a thing that is going on that everybody ignores. All right, so there's a war in Hamas. Um, I'm saying it's a war because there is conflict. I call it war because when there are casualties, casualties of war. And Palestine and Israel and people want the land. And because they want the land, they just blow up people and they kill people. And they don't care if you're a child. And the numbers have surpassed whatever it is the number was 2,000 and something from the World Trade Center in kids alone. Like, yeah, I know that it takes 38 seconds for the best pleasure of your life. And then a baby born 9 months after, and the magic of that, and you wait 9 months in the incubator, and then the beautiful child comes out, and you're like, oh yeah, and all of that. And then somebody just go boom and just blow it up. And then people's like, we need to just have peace talks and all the killings and stuff like that. And then I always look at my little Jamaica where one and two people get themselves in in conflict. Why is it? Why did Dan Zando? Why you never missed that? 38 seconds. I mean, if Bolt is have the world record for running down the road, you have to have the record for something. But anyway, moving on. And so we put things into context because how the media skews things. One would think that Jamaica is the most dangerous place on earth when it really isn't. One would think that what's really happening in Haiti is actually the worst thing ever, what it really isn't. Unfortunate, yes, but there are places where things are happening worse. And then we sit and can you imagine? And this is in the context, people, of the whole thing about free will and destiny and fate. When I was young, my mother, who is a minister of religion, Dr. Joan Porteous, yeah, love her, because she's a brilliant woman, and she love tell you silver and gold vanish away, but a good education will never decay. And she just badger you till you know you don't have no free will, so you did half a go school, even though you know, you did just want just be worthless. It couldn't happen when you have parents like the parents I have. No matter what happens, you just don't have the free will to just be. You can't be caught in a state of being when you have parents like mine. You have to go do something. So anyway, she would say silver and gold would vanish away, but a good education will never decay. And that's programming. Because no matter what happened in my life, education, it was always featured. It's always the backup plan. Yet we live in a society where they dumb down the education and they're trying to steer you away from the quality of education that can make your life um, have meaning in multiple societies. For instance, in a country where you require visas, every country have specialist visas where you don't have to be married, you don't have to be nothing, you just have to be skilled in the sciences, skilled in the field of intellectual contribution that can cause you to win a Nobel Peace Prize. There is the level of intellect that's existing. So while we are learning to preach and we are learning to drift and bubble and while we are learning to do that, there are kids of other races trying to do the spacewalk, learning how to planet jump by the time they're 5, and we don't know what that is. Just putting that in context. Anyway, she says, or used to talk about the story about the it would be Death, the Grim Reaper. He came to a village and he like he'd be looking for Tommy. And Tommy see the Grim Reaper, I call him name. And him say, no, sir. And him take up himself, him free will self, and say, make me run go Montego Bay, come in and know what the Grim Reaper look for me for in a Kingston. And me nah go dead today. Right? And him find himself in Montego Bay. And when he gets to Montego Bay, the Grim Reaper is there and said, you know, I have a date, I have a date with you in Montego Bay. And he dies in Montego Bay. But in his mission to avoid his destiny or to cheat death, he finds himself in Montego Bay. So one wonders about free will. If you're destined to do something. And here we're talking about destiny. I notice I don't define destiny and none of that. We all know this. Unless I absolutely need to do it, I would not even tell you what it is. Because we are from the era where right now the baby boomers and generation next, we're so traumatized when we drive behind a trailer with the logs because we all watch Final Destination. And when we go on planes, we all know that if we sit down in the whichever seat, what the best one for sit down, so we cheat death, but death find you anyway. That's the idea or concept what we're talking about. Good? So just bear with me and believe me when I tell you that if we're thinking about free will, there's no free will when destiny is finding you for you to be a part of a narrative. So what's happening in the world right now is the children dying en masse. We saw children who are physically challenged or mentally challenged too, disabled from Haiti coming to Jamaica. Kudos to the charity organizations and the homes that took them in. That is what humanitarianism is about, and human dignity and restoring hope in humanity. Now, note those a series of unfortunate events would have had to happen for those children from Haiti to find themselves in Jamaica. They could not have on their own taken up themselves and say, I want to freely go to Jamaica. But if it is fated and destined for them to be here, they are going to be here. So I raise the issue now of a young man, 17, Jamaican youth, all the prospects of being a talented soccer player, albeit had asthma. I'm just sharing the story. I'm not calling names. Why am I talking about it? Because Jamaica is such an unsafe space if you listen to the narrative, and death is at your door if you listen to the narrative. Well, young man finds himself in Pennsylvania and becomes a victim of the whole hazing, that's what they call it. Because in America, of course, if you're white and you're going to a college or a university or a high school, sororities do what is called hazing, and they have these initiation things because that's the culture. And of course, when you're black and you come into the culture, people is going to be unkind to you and probably be a little bit extreme, because when you are black, because they're all white, if they slap you, you turn pink. And so they know, oh, he's frightened because you turn pink. When you're black, you don't change color like green lizards and stuff like that. So probably the lizard is not a good thing to talk about right now. But yeah, and then you find yourself that whatever is going on in these people's mind while they're in Pennsylvania, they chase this young man who is he's from Jamaica, not Jamaican descent, and he leaves the worst country in the world where if from you wake up you're dead, because Jamaica's so bad you can't live in Jamaica, you know, you can't manage, you just not gonna survive. Because the way them go on down there, the thought of you waking up one day and you, if you have a AK-47, you forget 25 years just for have it. All if it not a bullet, all if you don't know if you use it. But in America, where you have the guns, and if you don't like what mom said, you can just go to a mall and shoot up black people, and then you get Burger King, and you suffer from affluenza, and because your mother didn't buy you the toys at Toys R Us, they're gonna see with you and they're gonna investigate what could have caused you to kill the black people, because an act just reus and the intention and causation, but for privileged white kids on a football team chasing an immigrant to the point where he's calling his father to tell him he's scared, and then he dies. Take your victim as you find them. It's a part of causation. It's murder 101. R and White. But for your parents not using a Durex, your miscreant behavior would not have caused the death of a child whose parents went through great sacrifice to take him out of the worst country, high crime society in the world, to put on Nikes and Adidas and clothes and winter clothes to feel that he's better than everybody else in the world, and still end up dead. If that is not destiny and the complete absence of free will. So while it is everybody said, oh, the Haitian kids are now in Jamaica, the worst place in the world, and how could that happen? Well, the Jamaican kid went to America, the best place in the world, and he still died. So when it's your destiny, it's your destiny. And it's not only happening in America, you know. Because this week, of all the weeks, one of the most beautiful child, an angel of God, black, 13-year-old, all the prospects from a family, an African family, who believe that they have the next doctor. You know, if you're African, of course you're going to be a doctor and a lawyer. That's like, I'm Nigerian. Of course I'm going to be yeah. But anyway, and he's walking to school at 7:03 in the morning like he always does. Probably is going to catch the bus. And a white man who has a sword. And I just thought about Tuberville and Savage, where he says, if it was not for Labor Day, I would have cut your head off. And the man just crashes his vehicle, get out of his vehicle, and he just punches the young man, boy, 13, and he's dead. In England, London, at that. Where they have the best schools and low crime, and what happens down there in Jamaica doesn't happen over there. It's not reported as a miscreant conduct and unsafe society, a society that we, as with human dignity and the freedom to conduct ourselves as individuals, which are not insane and mad, I never would have thought that. And see, Danza says, I would not allow my son to walk alone at that age, 13. Well, I can tell you this, in Jamaica, you have 5-year-olds that's walking their 3-year-old, 2-year-old, and walking to the daycare center, picking up the 1-year-old, and then they all walk find the bridge that don't make because the politicians them don't put it back. They use the rope, and the 5-year-old put all of them on them back and swing across. And when they finish swing across, they land and they go to shop. And Miss Matty give all of them a bulla and some bag juice, and then them tie up the cow, them feed the goat, them pluck the chickens, and then them do them homework and them watch cartoon. And then some of them is on TikTok. And then they do the same song, na 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 na, and then they get famous, and then they go on America's Got Talent, and then they become superstars. Yeah, all those things happen. So when it comes to free will versus where, when it comes to destiny, when it comes to fate, is determinism and libertarianism, is are these things even something worthwhile talking about? So I sit, I sat. I was gonna say I sat. Yeah, but from where I sit, um, I think the conversation about humanity, I think the conversation about race, class, culture, um, and societal structures that notwithstanding that the feminist movement have thought that they have gained so much mileage by replacing replacing equality and using reverse prejudice and marginalization by coining the term misogynistic and the Me Too movement and all of this, that notwithstanding all of that, patriarchy reigns. Notwithstanding all of that, Weinstein conviction was overturned and a retrial ordered for all the rape and all of the stuff that was done in New York, because patriarchy is a mechanism that is a part of the systemic problem, possibly, or the, and putting it in context, the very thing, the system that prevents the concept of free will. Because wherever you are on the scale of equality, the scale of that which matters, because context matters, and if you matter, where you fall, you find yourself singing, big up yourself, Bujo. I want to rule my destiny. I want to rule my destiny. This is what is important in my mind. Daniel says, I used to live in England. Stabbings have existed for years. It's the choice of weapons, no right to a weapon. And that's the thing. But for us in Jamaica, shooting is a problem. Because I too can tell you, the gruesomeness of a murder is based on the type of firearm that you use in Jamaica. It is almost as if there is an encouragement to use stabbings and machetes as an alternative method of choice to minimize the type of sentence that you get when it comes to um, the manner in which people die. Because the plague right now, the societal plague, is gun violence in the Jamaican space. But if life is something given to us without knowing we are to receive it, then respectfully, any means by which a life is taken should have the same once intent is established. Um, yeah. So I could be wrong, but that's how my my thoughts, or how my mind works when it comes to thinking of how to process that aspect of it. Yeah. So yeah, I invite you to look for both of those stories. Young teen, 17, Pennsylvania. Young teen, 13, London. I'm not saying their names because I don't have no authority to do that right now. But the story are stories that are um, worth speaking about. Um, in in terms of just in terms of thinking about or processing the idea and concept of free will. I genuinely think that, and we are we are now reaching to the top of the hour. When we pause for the 5 minutes, again, the thought, I want to open the phone lines to have the conversation, to hear from people, with serious, having had serious conversation. If you could remove one thing from the world, what would it be? And Isaac says it rhymes with P. And I would just, by the snap of the finger, remove the P. And I know the world would be a better place after that. The entire world. So we're going to open the phone lines and certainly have the conversation where that is concerned. Good, good.
Right. It's all in life. Gotta keep your head up and keep it straight. No time for living a lie. Gotta keep it moving till you get it right. That's right. It's all in life. Gotta keep your head up and keep it straight. No time to be living a lie. You can make it if you try. No, I heard them say life much better you live it your own way.
Tell me, while we're on that break, by by Israel. Laws are constitutional like treaty laws. Codes are codes. Statutes are statutes, and municipals are municipals. Uh, explain that. Explain. Danzanda says pregnancy. Of all the things she says, they said I would remove pregnancy, and then the human species would die. So you're not doing a good job. Venice Thompson says the prison. Ubuntu says, is this destiny? A woman in argument called police for help. They come broke into her home, see her with a knife, then shoot her dead in California. Um, it has to be destiny. It has to be fate. It has to be the things that happen in our space that cause us to have the conversation. It was not long ago. It was just last week that a young man in Westmoreland was shot by his classmates, and there is talk in our parliaments about increasing the mandatory minimum to ensure that these miscreants get 20 years, and people are passionate about it. And um, I don't get into the conversation because people is going to say that you're promoting slackness, but it happened last week, and in Montego Bay last week, a mother lost her son because these boys just decide that they're going to run him down and stab him up. And the emotional response is actually not an emotional response where the mother lost a child, and also the mothers of the children who are alive have also lost a child, because when you murder somebody, a part of your soul dies. The humanity in you is lost, and your road to rehabilitation is a very long one. A very I'm not gonna say a very impossible one. I don't ever propose to be able to say that. But I want people to know that last week these things happened in Jamaica. A young man with all the prospects out of Westmoreland was killed. And the prime minister goes to the podium, and people go to the podium, and they're talking about gang violence. But in England, a young man, young boy, 13, not different from the one in Jamaica, is killed. And they said, "Oh, the man is suffering from mental instability, and he uses his sword, and we are investigating, and we're charging him for murder, but he uses his sword, and his defense will be insanity." Nobody's saying there's no problem in the nation. It's only in Jamaica there's a problem in the nation, and they blame it on gangs rather than dealing with an issue, because all across the Caribbean, I have the videos, but I am not going to put children and participate in having the faces of children who are still children um, across social media, and the fights and the uniforms, and nobody stopping to say, like when they have their national prayer breakfast, what are we doing to fail our children? What's going on across the Caribbean? Because equally, is there something in the air? Are we breathing a dust? Are we breathing something? Is the sun so hot? You if you call the wrong number, you say wagwan, them say, oh, you call God, yeah, dip up under, and you hear everything, and you just wondering what is it that we are missing, because the same thing that happened this week in Pennsylvania happened last week in Jamaica. It's a series of unfortunate events with the youth of our country and the intervention. Are they too young to know about free will? Are they exercising and acting outside of a reprobate mind? What is the disconnect? Are they watching anime? Are they watching Netflix? Are they watching things on YouTube that doesn't have parental supervision? We can't say it's dancehall because we don't know if these white boys was playing dancehall in Pennsylvania and say run them down, shoot them down, run them down, shoot them down, run them down and step on them. No, right? We can't blame dancehall. So one has to put things in context and do the investigation, because we have a future and children are the future. So if we teach them well and let them lead the way and show them all the beauty they possess inside and give them a sense of pride that doesn't include a mandatory minimum in Jamaica, the suggestion of that to ensure that if a 13-year-old is really 12, because 12 is the age of criminal responsibility, finds themselves with a murder charge that results in conviction, the next time they enter society, they'll be 32. So there's no concept of rehabilitation. There's no hope, because you want to. And the people who are making the laws, and I promise you, they don't have 20 years to live on the face of this earth. No one, anybody can bet me on that. They don't have it. And it's out of sheer, utter bad mind that they sit sometime and make these laws. There are people who, at the time when it was the war on drugs, that orchestrated the destruction of black people. And yeah, they'll cut this little part of it out and say, yes, I sat the two-time drug dealer, something, 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 and that's why I'm licking out against it. But there was a war on drugs, and they were giving your grandfathers and your black people and immigrants and people in the black neighborhoods, they were giving them sentences that they're still not giving out for murder, and they don't, and in the name of fighting crimes. Like, never in my life I would have thought that we sentences would be handed down where a man in possession of an AK-47 gets more time than a man who commits murder with a knife, of course. I would never believe it. And so we do know there was a time. Those people are dead. The two big proponents of the war on drugs, they're dead. And they were giving black people 30 years, 40 years, triple life for the crack pandemic. But when it became opium and opioids and the white people were doing what the black people were doing, they said, hey, slow down. They're addicts. There needs to be an alternative because their sons and daughters are affected by it. And so we have to think for the sons of daughters of every nation in terms of corrective measures so that people can be the best versions of themselves. So this conversation has taken us well out of the realm of free will, because after, and someone, maybe Kevin will correct me and tell me it was a 400 years of slavery, but after a 400-year head start from one set or a races and different and race conflated by geographical race and race by skin color, but after 400 years, and the black man stolen from Africa and those in Africa still under many oppression from the system that is patriarchy, the expectations to compete in a society that you actually can't compete in. And here's what I mean. It's almost laughable when we get up and we say, for instance, Jamaica is a independent nation, an independent society. That being Jamaica. Okay, hold on. I'm hearing this ticking thing and I don't know where it's coming from. Um, yeah, but we hear that, and then our leaders go on the world stage, and I don't know why I'm picking on Bush Banton today, but our leaders go on the world stage, broke on the money, and them no respond, and them meeting at the United Nations with little but with tolerance. We're bad at Olympics and those things, but not really so much on the world stage because our little bit of money can't be a dent in anything. We can't speak out and say we don't. We have a vote and when it counts, and it's sad that we don't use it when we're supposed to, but we are not equals on the world stage. I just so we can't freely speak. We can't speak out and say what's happening in Hamas should stop. Because if we're too strong, we're in a bad position. Just so we're not free. Have to play politics and dance around it. And if we're right, there are people who's gonna say we're not right. And if we're wrong, there are people who's gonna say we're not wrong because it's a political position. But I just want people to appreciate that because of the lack of equality, because of the lack of understanding and the cultural dynamics, our ability to imitate is eroded or misguided, and we just abuse our citizens and make it impossible to exercise free will in especially a country as small as Jamaica. Um, and this is the topic is there can be a lot of discomfort with the topic, and the discomfort comes because we have to accept where we fall by virtue of destiny. Now I can tell you this: I am a proud Jamaican. I wouldn't want to be anything else. I think the narrative isn't pushed because when you hear Amia Motley, you can appreciate what it is to be um to wake up and there are few of you. So when you think of Jamaica as a gem in the Caribbean, and people from Barbados and even Trinidad, the smaller the island, the fewer of you there are, and the more valuable you are because there are less of you. And that's how they in when it comes to prestige and when it comes to exclusiveness, a designer says, I've only made 5 handbags. And Oprah has one, and Kim Kardashian has one, and Princess Diana has one. And those Cardi B gonna have to get one. And Beyonce have to get one. I know I'm gone more than 5, but you see where the war start. But it's only 5. And so these bags are the gems. And of course, if you have the scandal bag, or so much of them are just bag and you just use it and you discard it, and then the plastic is it there, you can discard them. And so if we're not teaching people, Kevin has talked about the nurture. If we don't nurture our future to know how important we are, and the freedom we can exercise by teaching the human dignity, teaching the self-respect. If we don't get there, that is where it can be somewhat problematic. Good. Um, so we think about that, or I'm inviting you to think about that. Um, that is true. Somebody says many claim to be Godfather said many claim to be Jamaicans too. Um, but what I want to get at is there is a way to look at what's going on in the world and trying to identify when we leave or end this conversation where the free will lies, whether we have free will or whether it is destiny or whether it's fatalism where things are fated. Because if you read the stories in the Bible, there are just some people who ended up being the main characters, and what God had done for them, they really. Let's start with Moses. He didn't do anything that was free will minded. He took the instructions and he went out and did it, and he had all the belief in the world, and he had the faith, but he didn't. Did what? Could he have said no? From the way from his birth and how he got into that palace and how he was able to interact with Pharaoh and then all of that, and he was one of them, and all of that. God put them there. So we know about adoption, we know about this, and we know about the nurture versus nature, and you are who you are. But if you're destined to do something, where is the free will? Because then we have a book called Alchemist, the story of the alchemist. If it is that all that is for you is right here in Jamaica, but you have to go all over the world to get the knowledge to be able to come back and use what it is I have in Jamaica, that's your destiny. There's no freedom in that. If you're to get knowledge from somebody in Timbuktu, then you will be forced to take a plane tomorrow. And here's the thing about destiny. You don't have to go to Timbuktu. They will just happen to be in the airport. Your flight will be delayed, and they'll come in and their flight will be delayed, and then they have a seat and they have a conversation with you, even when you're not a social person. And they say the words that you need to hear that God has put in their heart to say to you from Timbuktu. Is that free will? Isn't that destiny? That this is how you. Some Kevin says, okay, all right, got you. But anyway, the all of this just goes to show that we are characters in a movie. If the director is God, only the writers know how the movie ends, which is why Buju Banton's plea is so potent, because he wants to rule his own destiny. He wants to rule his destiny. And that is just the simple truth. And how we this thing, I'm hearing this thing. I'm wondering if you guys are hearing it too, because I'm hearing a clicking and I don't know where the clicking is coming from. But anyway, yeah, Island says all the world is a stage and every one is playing their part. But how are you to know how the story goes? How was I to know you'd break my heart? That's Madonna's take about. I don't know, but these things go. It's music. That's why you're on a radio station. Good. So that's what it is. So what I propose to do is to open the lines. AG says, my friend, 14-year-old brother, leave Jamaica, went to Canada to live with his family. He joined youth ministry outreach of the church. Within 5 months, a frenemy knocked on his house door and shoot him. Yeah, if that's that destiny, I don't know what it is. But I'm just saying there are things that takes place that is of God, that is of a greater power, that is outside of the remit of you being free. And I go back to the story of Moses again that says if God puts it on your heart for things to happen, it has to happen that way, and you can't do anything about it but to be still and know that God is God. That's really where it goes. So I'm going to open the lines because I want the question answered, and then I want the comments from you guys to tell me about what's your thought on free will, whether it is destiny, whether it is fate, and because of that, the simplicity of being caught in a state of being is simply where the reality is, and we're just actors on the world stage, and the whole world is a stage. I'll adopt that. So there you go. The number is there. It's 876-832-2205. and a WhatsApp call is sufficient. So let's go. Yeah. Maxine says, no man can do anything. There is a scripture, days man plan, God executed. Okay. Got that. Foreigner says, foreign and no bed arose. Make Jamaica great again. Time come. All right. Force majeure clause. I hear you. Somebody know them contract law. Yeah, but that's really what it is. Once again, it's about what you think. Again, here's the question. If you could remove one thing from the world, what would it be? If you could remove one thing from the world, what would it be? And that's the simple question. It's the real question. It's the true question. I'm waiting until we're almost at the juncture when I tell you what I think it is. Got you, Donna. Donna know what's going on, you know. I said it start with P. And I think that would change the dynamics of society, of the world, of the citizenry of the world. Going ring and stop, ring and stop and ring. Yeah, so that's what it is. Orange Fan Blade says religion. Interesting. Paulette Punanti says politics. Look at TV. I know I go repeat what you say. I go like I don't read it. Fabian Brand says crime and violence. Fabian, you think if you remove crime and violence, the world would be a better place, or that's just what you would want to remove? And Godfather say, I would remove greed, but if you remove greed, that means it's less KFC for me, call me greedy. Hello? Yes, how you doing?
I'm good.
All right, talk to me,
Great.
caller. Your name is?
I'm done.
Could you repeat that?
Sorry. D-O-E-A.
All right, talk to me. If you could remove one thing from the world, what would it be?
I remove one. What would be? Hey.
You would remove what?
A-E-E.
Pain?
Hate.
Oh, hate. H-A-T-E.
A-E-E.
Okay.
But, yeah. But what I want to just is, don't really feel.
Uh-huh.
Look, the Bible.
You said Luke in the Bible. You're kind of breaking up in us. I'm not really hearing you, but go ahead.
So, some things of the Bible gives are free will, but I get that.
Okay.
Reason I said no. I remember first team.
All right, so you're not coming across clear, so I don't know if your connection is bad, but we have to do something to see if you can get your connection up a little bit better than what I'm hearing now. So you might want to hang up and call back.
Oh.
No, go ahead. I'm hearing you now, but you go ahead. Continue.
Okay. In the Bible, according to what is
all right. It not hearing you. Apart from your voice sounding like it's Sir P trolling me. I don't I really I honestly do not hear you.
Yeah, that's the one. I don't know why. Yeah.
We don't hear you. You just have to go hang up and call back. I can't suffer the listeners on with the quality of the call like that. Yeah, there's no need. And listen, this is a safe space. There's no need to disguise your voice.
I promise you, if you disguise your voice, people gonna know it's you anyway. Because you see what I can tell you is this. So many things happening in Jamaica. I have the answers.
But anyway, you get it. You get the point. Let's see what's going on here. Caller. Hello. All right. Yeah, but I'm not hearing you, so you have to speak a little louder. Your name is? Yeah, hello? Okay. I see what's going on here. And yeah, hold on. Yeah, go ahead.
You hearing me a bit clearer?
Yeah, I'm hearing you now. Go ahead.
All right. So your question is, if you could remove one thing from the world, what would it be?
Yes.
Greed.
Greed.
Yeah. Greed. Not. I was about to say power, but I more think it's greed because power is what you do with it. That is how you will be judged. What you do with power, because there are great influencers, there are great persons with power, and they use it wisely. But greed is something that will corrupt people. And we have seen it. I'm going to narrow it down to Jamaica. We have seen the worst side to greed in Jamaica, where politicians, more so the JLP, have created ghettos and keep people uneducated.
But I so let me be fair and balanced now. Hello. Why would you say more so the JLP create ghettos? Why would you put that on them only?
I wouldn't say I put it on them only, but because of Jamaica's political history and how Michael Manley's plan for Jamaica was to educate and empower people, as did Singapore did. But we know the history of Siaga, which is not a Jamaican, and his plan to destroy Jamaica. And we're seeing remnants of it coming up to today's date. At a point in time in my life, I had said that Bruce Golding is one of the best prime minister I've ever seen in Jamaica because I wasn't too informed about politics. But once in 2016, when I read back in 2016 about the traffic Gura incident and how he brought up that scandal to distract and to misinform people, I realized that it is just another person. It's just another face to the same operation. And people have to be wise and learn about their history, understand where they are and how we can move forward as a nation. Prior to me knowing these type of things about our political history, I didn't like both sides and I used to blame both sides. But the thing is, you got to go to the root of every problem or every situation in order to understand it. And then I've gone back to the root of knowing who Norman Manley was and who Michael light, of hope. I am from the Garrison Jakes Road, Mountain View, and I've seen what a bad environment can do to you. It's like living in a box and all you can see is the four corners. And all you can speak about is the four corners. Because I remember one thing I grew up with as a child: don't stray. Living in Jake's Road, you don't know what Jack Lane looks like, Goodrich Lane looks like, First Avenue looks like. Until I came outside of that box and I was able to go into a space where I can see different things, then I realized that life is not about waking up, trying to find the next meal, rub out your handmickle, try to hustle somebody, to kill somebody, something. And people don't pay attention to PTSD, which is a major thing that a lot of Jamaicans suffer from and suffer through. And because it has never been diagnosed, we don't. When we hear mental illness, we first think mad, and then we start to disrespect people. But for a quick example, to say when somebody from uptown, a child from uptown, have some kind of behavioral issue, their parents will get them counseling guidance, right, until they're back on track. But in the ghetto, who talks to that young man or that young lady when they see their parents dying in front of them, or they hear of their family members, their friend? I can speak of this because these are experiences that I've gone through, and also I know people who have gone through this experience. And I believe that I see and understand that these people never choose to be born in the ghetto.
But I'm glad that you said that. I'm not cutting you, but here's the thing. That is why we're speaking about free will. Because everything you're saying seems to suggest that persons how they're positioned in society, and you've blamed some of the movers and the shakers to put people in the condition that they're in, and therefore when they're living in the midst of that, they don't have the free will. It's the absence of human dignity, and so they're living like computers programmed to do just that: rub out their hand middle, survive, have no regard for life because they don't value life. So because they don't know that they matter, they can't find, and I just laugh. That's really why I call the show Context Matters. Because you have to find that you matter. So then you can go and say Black Lives Matters, and then you can appreciate that all life matters when you put it in context. But what I will say to you is the blame game is something that it doesn't work in terms of because I can say when we do, but for them putting us on that slave ship and carrying us here to do what they did with us, we wouldn't be talking about ghetto and this and this and this. Albeit we probably would have been in Africa or wherever we are and having the same social issues because I spoke about patriarchy. So we have to be able to do all that we are doing. Hold on. Yeah, in order to be able to just continue to feel as if we have free will, knowing that our where we stand in the realm of things is even the persons who call themselves the movers and the shakers are just puppets. Like you made mention of one of our former prime ministers and said that he was placed here to disrupt whatever was happening in Jamaica. But I think, like slavery, we have to rise above that and find ways to become the best versions of ourselves. I keep saying it, but in rationalizing that, the ideologies of the two political parties are clearly different as it is right now, and that through education, that is something that we can have much more mature conversation about. I appreciate your call because you have proven to be a critical thinker, and I encourage you to Yeah,
really quick before
sure. No, man, I'm not dismissing you. I'm just giving you your credit before I allow you to continue and hope that you are impacting the lives around you. Continue.
Thank you. All right. I must say, when I speak about the history, it is not from a blame game perspective, but as you said, causation and correlation. People normally get them mixed up, and that is a major thing. But what I believe that people need to first know their history, how it started, to position themselves in the present, and then look forward. Because right now we're living in an era where information is so open. We're privileged to be living in this time. And the thing is, education is so free now that you are here providing information that a lot of people have to go to university to get. So I encourage everybody first to empower themselves through knowledge. Listen to things that are able to educate you. Walk with wiser men to be the added wise man. And try to go somewhere. And I must say as well, the freedom of Vice Cartel is the freedom of Jamaicans. And the reason why I say this, because it shows that people have to respect your constitutional right, your right as a human being. Forget anything what people want to say. Always look at the fact. And I believe that promoting Vice Cartel book even a bit more. I love the book. There's so much solution that is given in the book. And a lot of people don't know that it was also co-written by a Garvey Act. And Marcus Garvey is the biggest black leader the world has ever seen. And we played down the importance of what Marcus Garvey did and what he's doing today, because his message still lives on, and what he's doing for the future. So I will advise everybody to read, and who is in a struggling situation at this point in time in their life, believe that there's a change. And the change starts with you by educating yourself. A man who don't choose education in this day and life truly is failing his whole generation, because it is so easy, and we need to get on to what the PNP is doing, because there are bright people that are in the PNP and bright people who are able to explain themselves, not highfalutin, where people who do things can't explain it and then expect to jump up and laugh and have a gimmick show. It's time for Jamaicans to be wanting to be entertained and want to be informed adequately, so that they can create a better life for themselves. It's not just the politicians that is going to create the life. A politician has to give you the tool, that is the education, to see how you can empower yourself. Moving from investment, foreign investors to now entrepreneurs, to build our stock market and to grow our economy. The talk of jobs is foolishness. We need to have business owners, land owners. And thank you again, Mr. Isaac. I can't wait today to shake your hand and say, I appreciate you. And Jamaica really do have a special diamond here.
All right. Blessings.
Thank you for the time.
Blessings, my brother, and respect for the gems that you brought to the show today. That is, I guess, one would wonder if you are operating from free will or let me not say it, but continue. Enjoy your day, sir. Before you go though, you said greed is the one thing that you would remove. And in removing greed, all you're doing respectfully is saying that I should move from a 6-piece of KFC to a 2-piece. So yeah, mash up my life with that, and may I fire burn you for that, because with greed you get to eat the whole 6-piece one time with the coleslaw and the mashed potatoes, and if they have it, you get an 8-piece of wings, same way. So anyway. All right. Big up. I hope you continue watching so you know which P I'm talking about, what I would remove. All right, take care. All right. Yeah. What is your thought? Somebody said the 7 deadly sins would be what they're removing Interesting. You see, everything is about lens, because if it is that we are free to see what we want. If it is that it is destiny, then we're destined to see what we see when we see. And if it's fate, you're fated to see whatever. For example, one could look at the monitor, and if it is that you see anything other than an apple behind a wine glass, you have issues. But it's a matter for you. I'm going to leave it there for a while I continue to ask persons what it is. If you had one thing that you could remove, what would it be? Donna Gray, nobody asks about, I hear Donna. Ironically, I am eating KFC right now. Hello, good day, caller.
Good day.
How are you?
Denise Thompson. Can I call you on this number after your show?
Oh, I thought you're on the show right now and you're live.
I know, but I want to call you after the show.
Okay, but before you go, what's the one thing that you would remove from the world if you
I
could?
would move the Prime Minister for sure.
Hold on, which Prime Minister you make? Where you say? Which Prime Minister you talking about?
I would move the Prime Minister for sure.
You are,
what about that?
are you in which country are you in? That's why I'm asking.
I am in Jamaica.
Oh, but you didn't say the name of the Prime Minister. That's why I asked.
Oh no, man! I would move the Prime Minister for sure, man.
All right,
trust me.
Very well, very well. You can.
They just come to oppress poor people and put us in more poverty.
All right, I'm with you. All right, you can call me after, caller.
All right, have a blessed day.
You too. Caller, hello.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I would remove injustice.
Injustice.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
If we all can get rid of that, I guess we'd have a nice world, a good world.
Okay. And your name is?
At our level.
Okay.
You can call me Pat.
Okay, Pat. I have a soft spot in my heart for Pat, you know. I met an angel named Pat before.
For?
I said I met an angel named Pat. I'm happy to meet another Pat.
Oh,
all right.
Angel.
Okay, you said it. You have to be careful. You said you're no angel. Just know there are people in the comments.
Angel is very much forgiving, and I'm not.
Okay. Because I was gonna say you have to be careful. There are persons who are saying they want to remove the devils and evils. So if you're not an angel, you may be a devil. So be careful.
I'm not going to take that credit.
Okay. All right. Thanks for calling. All right. Take care. All right. All right. So there you have it. What we are hearing is, I'm hearing about the greed. I'm hearing about injustice. I'm hearing people saying they would remove the prostitutes. People say they would remove the vagina. I don't know how that works. It's an oxymoron. Sometimes it's a good thing people don't have the freedom to remove, because chances are they would want to remove me too, no so? But anyway, another interesting Loxley Gregory says he has massive issues, but he's not saying what he would remove. But at this point, I must tell you, if anybody thought it was anything else other than what I had in my mind, I said the word is P. The one thing I would remove if I had the power to remove it is poverty. And other persons were saying it, because I know critically, so I hate to disappoint you. The P that I'm making reference to is poverty. And that is why context matters. I believe that, especially in a country like Jamaica, in the absence of poverty, one would realize, caller, just hold for me. One would realize how beautiful this country is and how rich the people are, how important and significant the people are. Because I say this every day. I will tell you, what if you interact with me, you'll know you matter, and that's why context matters. So if we remove poverty, the world would be a different place. Jamaica, we would rise to the creme de la creme that we are in the world just by existing. Every nigga is a star. Every Jamaican is a star. And in the absence of poverty, the way we would excel. Not only would we run left them at the pen relays, we anyway, you get the point. Carla, how you doing?
Let me hope that voice move now.
Yes.
You know. All right.
I'm hearing you. Talk to me.
Okay.
Your name is?
A same person, Dorrit.
Okay.
The voice, right? That voice that they say was hiding. I don't hide.
Okay. All right.
I'm afraid of no. I'm not afraid of anybody.
Okay, all right.
63-year-old. All right.
The way you said, me not afraid of no girl, no boy, no day. All right, come through, Portia. Talk to me.
Nobody.
All right, talk to me now.
You see, even in 2020, when they had the covert action going on, I followed no protocol, none. I went into the stores, and if they don't want me in there, who me tell bad word, me tell bad word and walk out. Good, me go into NHT, to go do my business. They don't want me in. Me mad head take me bounce pass and go in, get my work done and leave. I just said that to show whoever on the chat here thinking that I'm afraid. That's why the voice, I don't know where that voice thing came from.
No, it probably was a technical issue from my side, but it was hilarious nonetheless.
So you owe me an apology then.
We not apologize. No, I'd like me to tell them when them ready, them twist up my hand and make me have to apologize and pay $500,000 because I apologize, but I didn't do it wigglingly, never willingly. Anyway, but yeah, man. So my apologies to you, and I'm glad that you were able to call back and clear that up. And I'm glad that you're big and bad and you never take the vaccine and you never wear a mask and you never believe in a COVID. And you roll up with your rum and you drink your merengue and whatever you did do.
No, you know, never do me. Never do me, nor my family. Nothing did any of us.
Me must be related to you because never do me either. But take care, yeah? Later.
No, I don't finish yet. Are you hanging up? You're good.
No. Continue. I thought, go ahead. You have the floor is yours, ma'am.
All right. My concern, you see, is you're talking about free will.
Yes.
No. Does the leaders of this world, including this country, Jamaica, really have free will to freely lead the country? Here is why I'm saying this.
I just repeat the question because that was such a profound question.
If I get already.
No, man, you said, do the leaders in the country have free will to lead the country?
Right.
Go ahead
to
now.
lead the country
Tell me why you said
as
that.
they would like to. Here's why I say it.
Yes.
I think there are forces behind this scene who calling the shots. Let me talk about Jamaica now.
Patricia Hazen says no, she don't. Go ahead, continue.
Right. Forces who decide that, okay, this is how everything must go. Right? So when you who we choose, because we the people not choose nobody to lead no country. It's just a cool way. Right? You who then choose and put up there must know do what they claim must be done for the country to run how they want it to run. And I say this because when I sit and look, I can see behind the scene certain people whom we call elite. The elitist people. Right? For example, the Constitution. If them are people not elitist, me want. How can you just come up and say, okay, here is something in the Constitution that we want to change. We don't like it. No, we don't care what the people think. We don't business with the people. This is what, and change it. And all the lawyers, all the doctors, all the Indians, all the chief, sit down and just make them go through and do it.
Well, but that's not right. You couldn't say they sit down and make they go through and do it. The PNP challenged, the PNP won. Even before that, there were lawyers who said it could not have been done. Some of them were sanctioned. Some of them quoted Vibes Cartel. Some of them were suspended. Some of them, a lot of things happened. And so the important thing is that people have a voice. But not only that, since those incidents took place, there was a local government election, and the electorate, notwithstanding, still gave the ruling government that changed the constitution a mandate. So there is some disconnect in terms of people understanding what is going on. But again, one could say that people have the free will to continue to vote, even if the vote don't make sense. The polls say otherwise. No. Polls showing that Marky G is in stride, notwithstanding not wearing Clarks. He's making strides, using intellect and using law. So I don't know. It's just a matter of what one thinks.
I'm hearing you. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I am thinking now, let's say the people vote. Here comes, and the people go and vote and PNP win. Mm-hmm. Right? Now talk that into life.
All right.
Okay. And they win. Now, will Mr. Golden stand up against needs? Will Mr. Golden stand up for all our rights? Or will the people at the back who run things interfere with him? Or let me ask you the question, can they interfere with him?
I like how you said they, because it seemed to me that you're saying first world countries are interfering with our local affairs. I need clarity on that, because in the absence of so here's the thing about it. That's why knowledge is power. The PNP already challenged NIDS in its dangerous phase. The intrusive thing. No, man, just hear me out. The intrusive aspect of NIDS was struck down by our Chief Justice and two other very competent judges, I must add. And they had to wheel and come again. What NIDS is the information. Let me give you irony. Some of the information that persons are really, really having issues with, they've given it all to TikTok and YouTube and Instagram and Facebook, and everybody on Facebook, merry and dandy. If you sneeze and say, I feel like I want to dig out my nose, 2 minutes later a commercial come up. Want to dig your nose? Here is how. Just for $5.99, here's a new nose digger. That's because your information is out there. So if we are in the process of trying to advance ourselves as a society and as a nation, there are some things that we must, including the way how technology is used, that we must familiarize ourselves with. So we can't remain backward. So what I will say is, whether Marky G or Andrew B or H or whatever it is, whoever it is, the Constitution is the only done in this country. And anytime anybody want to play fool and breach the rights, there are lawyers, and there are people, even the people themselves now know that they have constitutional rights. They're walking into human dignity, and everybody from the roadside to the hilltop is bawling out constitutional rights, and the people won't be bamboozled and fooled. So that is a change. And as you rightly said, you know your rights, and you just step past everybody. That is your gift at the time, because you were a respectable woman who don't take no nonsense, and the people at NHT respect you as an elder. But I can tell you there were other people who weren't so lucky, like Miss Enzinga, where them cut off our hair for having your same attitude. And people laughed at her, and the powers that be said that she'd pull out her own hair when she didn't. And so there will always be people in society that, because they're not in your position, and there are people who will dislike you because you are privileged. And I tell you, listen, believe me, privilege, because when you get to a certain age, your seniority allows you to do what you want to do.
I was like that when I was young, Just follow me.
Well, you get where. Cause make you did young and step past me without your mask. Me trip you myself and say, where I gotta try give me COVID. And me and you cussing at the bank and say, you sure you look like COVID. And then they say, oh, you're rude to me. And then somebody gonna say, I note that this lawyer came and said the lady looks like COVID. He shouldn't be a lawyer. He should be disbarred. And notwithstanding she wasn't wearing a mask, he's a misogynist. And the people will take what they want. But I just want you to appreciate, because we come at the top of the hour and I really enjoy your conversation. I could talk to you all day. Tell me your final point.
I am going to call you back another time because we're going to talk about the Bible and free will.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to have a whole day about that.
God said, do this.
All right. Dawn is calling me, and if I don't answer Dawn call, she going to show stone out for me and deprive me of KFC. So I'm going to make her my final call. Take care.
Good. Take care.
All right. Dawn? Hello, Dawn White? Hello, Dawn. Greetings, how are you, Miss Dawn White?
Mike, I also would have chosen injustice for the snap of the finger disappearance.
Mm-hmm.
And because a lot of the other issues we have, the foundation is injustice. Because even poverty, to me, is injustice. Because although we are supposed to have the freedom and the free will, because of injustices, we have to really wonder how much freedom, because freedom really isn't free, Freedom really isn't free. And so, that is why I look at injustice, but just as it relates to freedom and free will. And the free will of your country, the speaker before, she mentioned just what I was coming. Even if we are exporting, I don't think we have a lot of talk on how much the big people them up north go and pay for what we want. We are exporting. Mm-hmm. We don't even have much free will on that. Our economy, even our educational system.
I think we agree. We literally are agreeing on the same point. I will say I identify it as patriarchy, and I did say that when our government goes on the world stage, it is laughable because we don't enter the United Nations as equals. If you listen to the speeches of Mia Motley and how brave she is, speaking to them like a lioness and addressing them. She's an attorney and one to look up at, and what you aspire and wish that your leaders were to speak, to say that, listen, we need more because we had less. We wouldn't have to come and beg you if you gave us our reparations for the years of slavery that you held us back. We would need your assistance and we would need your gifts if you give us back our equality. So I will just submit to you that while it is that I believe that injustice will always exist. And if when because it is a legal concept, what justice looks like it is actually a remedy in law. I think the law is for man, not man for law. And so injustice will look like something else by the stroke of a pen. Today I witnessed conversations about kangaroo courts, where when they want to abuse the citizens, it is free for the courts to make up law. And I hear a judge said, "Not on my watch." And so there are people who have innate justice embedded within them. Yeah. And so injustice is just a form of the lack of the Lady Justice pull up our blindfold and say, oh, the scale tipping, let me just tip it a little, and then justice looks different. What I will say in closing with you, because we're at the top of the hour, is to say that if we eradicate poverty and we are on the equal stage, once people are able to feed themselves and are able to know that the consequences of their actions won't be to deprive them of money to exist. That $600,000 that makes us a human being certainly in Jamaica, and everybody have access to money so that they don't have to beg and borrow and be on this cycle, the hamster wheel, to change their lives. That is the ultimate goal, to change in life. So that's why I stick to my guns, that poverty is right. All right. But beautiful. We are at the top of the hour, and thanks for your call, Don. That is Context Matters for May 2nd. You're free to stick around. You don't have to go. You could have been anywhere else, but you chose to be here with me. To the people on Reggae Global Radio, that is it. Context Matters for the day. People on YouTube, TikTok, you know how it go. We do what we do when we do what we do, because we do what we do and we love what we do. Yeah. And that is just the reality. So blessings, everybody, and I see you guys next week. For those persons who are still on TikTok, you know how it go. On YouTube, it's always all in life. You keep your head up and you keep the strive. No time for living a lie. I love this topic because freedom is a different type of dumbness, because you realize that the state of being free, it comes at a high cost, and one wonders if ever in life you are free. And it's not all the time that physical incarceration is the only mechanism to have people free. There are persons who get up every day and they suffer in silence. We have learned how to mask our pain and our hurt and our struggles. And as the caller rightfully say, the post-traumatic stress disorders, slave syndromes that we experience may very well be the genesis to why there's so much aggression in the country. But we can open our eyes. We can be like the Neo in the Matrix and change our narratives. And that just may be why some of us walk into our destiny, because we are just there to disrupt the matrix, to disrupt what is there. I don't always have the answers, but I do say this passionately, that context indeed does matter, and it is for those reasons why we continue to try to learn together and grow together. I watching numbers in, and I see consistently that there are some of us who we do have that critical thinking mind, and we stick to it, knowing that we will grow. And I learn from each and every one of you. I do read all the comments. Kevin, certainly you behave yourself on this platform, even though you don't do it on Rattigan's platform and Andre platform. But I appreciate you, because in all that you say, there's a lot that you say that makes sense, and it causes us to all grow. To everybody, continue with the comments, continue with the interactions, and feel free to call. It is a space where you can express yourself in the interest of learning. Thanks, everybody. The year is going by so fast. I cannot believe that we are really in the 5th month already. And as we continue, we hope for better, right? So take care, everybody.
It took some time to understand, yeah, just what it takes to be a man. Now it seems each day you learn something to make a better way. Growing up ain't just a phase, it's reality. And sometimes it's hard to face the world with your head screwed on. But in time you will see, it comes naturally, like the hurt and the pain. It's a part of the game. It's all a part of life, to laugh and to cry. That's right, it's all in life. Gotta keep your head up and keep it straight. No time for living a lie. Gotta keep it moving till you get it right. That's right, it's all in life. Gotta keep your head up and keep it straight. No time to be living a a lie, you can make it if you try. No, I heard them say, life much better, you live it your own way. But if you need a helping hand, just call on me, I will be your friend. And when it gets hard to face the world with your head screwed on, just tell yourself you can. And that's when you'll understand that the hurt and the pain, it's a part of the game. It's all a part of life, to laugh and to cry. That's right, it's all in life. Gotta keep your head up and keep your stride. No time for living a lie. Gotta keep it moving till you get it right. That's right, it's all in life. Gotta keep your head up and keep your stride. No time till you're living a lie. You can make it if you try. You gotta keep on moving on. Don't let no one stand in your way. Gotta keep on pressing on. As we pray for better days, keep it moving. Moving to the next. When they try to bring you down, we gotta take it to the next level when they come around. That's right, it's all in life. Gotta keep your head up and keep your stride. No time for living a lie. Gotta keep it moving till you get it right. That's right, it's all in life. Gotta keep your head up and keep your stride. No time till you're living a lie. You can make it if you try. Just keep your head up, yeah. Just keep your head up, yeah. Gotta keep your head up, yeah. Cause everything's gonna be alright.
Keep your head up. Keep your head up. Keep your head up.
Cause everything's gonna be alright.
Cause everything's gonna be alright.